I don't think anybody could have imagined how big this Epstein cover-up would be in changing public sentiment towards the president of the United States. I've got Andrew Schulz, who I guess seemingly voted for Trump, even though he considers himself a traditional Democrat, discussing how the only party for Americans right now is the Democratic Socialists, not the Democrats, the Democratic Socialists. I'm going to share what he had to say, but first, how insane that the White House, the treasured center of the executive branch of the greatest democracy to ever exist, the White House posted Trump as Superman, the symbol of hope, truth, justice, the American way. Superman, Trump. Well, Superman was an immigrant, so maybe if we ever have to deport anybody, can it be Trump Superman? And by the way, how ironic. Isn't it ironic, don't you think, that we've got Trump as Superman doing all the heavy lifting? Folks in the comments section said, well, his kryptonite must be the Epstein files, right? And again, that's exactly the truth. So I don't care what it is that gets people to be exposed to Trump's grift and the fact that he'll say or do whatever he needs to get your vote and then, kind of do his bidding for his billionaire friends. But here we have Andrew Schulz, who, by the way, I've done stand-up shows with Andrew Schulz back in the day when I started comedy. The dude's been crushing it in the comedy world forever. He performs Madison Square Gardens, Radio City Music Hall, all over the country and the world, really. He's got a beast of a following. He is huge. I mean, he interviewed Trump. And sadly, I think it's those types of interviews that actually propped Trump up and normalized him, because Trump's pretty good in long form. He doesn't really get to any substantive things, but he's just good at gabbing. He calls it the weave. You can criticize him all you want, but Trump would go on podcasts for 2 or 3 hours. Kamala Harris wouldn't. And sadly, I think folks, when deciding between the enemy they knew or the enemy they didn't know, they went with Trump. That's just what happened. And now we're actually getting to see a lot of folks changing their mind. Have a listen.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? We have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
So we're stupid.
Yeah.
We're the fucking idiots, guys. That is, I think, what is enraging people right now is it's insulting our intelligence. Like, obviously the intelligence community is trying to cover it up. Obviously the Trump administration is trying to cover up. Something changed because they ran on this idea of exposing it all. All these guys had great ideas. Cockeyed Cash, Dan Bongino.
He had clips, Doug. He had bars.
He was ready to tear it all down. He was ready to tear down the entire FBI office.
Shut down the Hoover building day one. That bitch still standing.
And then he goes on Joe Rogan and he's like, listen, do you think if I had it, I wouldn't share it with you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I do believe that 100%, especially when you're staring at me like this, telling me that. Once you protect pedophiles, you are the most cockeyed person in the entire world.
So one of two things, in my mind, is it possible. One, you're covering it up. Or two, nothing really happened and you exploited the rape of thousands of children to get your man elected.
That's really what it comes down to. They are stuck between a rock and a hard place. And like I said, if this is sort of the issue that many people look at and starts to get them to question Trump and turn on him, I'm okay with that. Now, for me, it would have been like, well, what about all of the, disintegrating of the democracy, of the Constitution, of due process, rounding up people that are your political enemies, and what? I mean, there's a million other things, but it takes a lot of critical thinking and ownership over changing your mind, really, to say, look, hey, this isn't what we signed up for. And they're not just doing that. Joe Rogan, as we showed before, did that. Rogan is kind of teetottering, is that what it's called? Where he's kind of like, listen, I didn't sign up for this, but he's not like flat out saying Trump is wrong, we need to stop this. But they're getting there. Now the question is, do they regret voting for Trump? And by the way, in today's world, right, July 11th, 2025, we need to leave space. I'm a progressive guy, if you don't know my channel. We need to leave space for people to say, hey, we got it wrong. Let's figure this out. We need to criticize the Democratic Party as well. Whoever it was, the powers that be, kept Biden in office when he should not have run for a second term. They shamed anybody who wanted there to be a primary, and then it was absolutely rushed after Biden botched his debate. I mean, he was terrible. I remember where I was standing, and I was like, oh my gosh. I actually expected better from him because his State of the Union, he was relatively coherent, if not, very, soft-spoken and things like that. But I say all this because I use the analogy of like if you ever go shopping for like a new T-shirt, right? And you go to a store and the lady working retail, she's like, I don't really like that shirt on you. And then you try a new one on and she's like, no, that one's better. I like that one. You want someone to be honest about things and not just have yes man around you, because then you'll believe them. Like if you have like someone like a realtor showing you a bunch of homes, oh, don't go with this one, it's overpriced. It's the water runoff, there's going to be mold issues, whatever. You want them to not just sell you on everything, right? And as somebody who's a progressive, I need to be honest with my audience and say the Democratic Party, they did a lot of dirty things when Clinton was running to keep Bernie Sanders from gaining momentum. They did the same thing when Biden was running to keep Bernie Sanders from gaining momentum. Do you remember? Everybody dropped out of the race at the same time and endorsed Joe Biden so that Bernie Sanders would kind of be like left in the dust, even though he had all of the momentum. We saw this play out multiple times. There was a flat out collusion by the DNC to help Hillary Clinton. We need to be able to own this. This doesn't make the Democratic values weaker. It just goes to show the people in the power structure are not there looking out for us. I say all of this because there is an answer to what's happening right now, and we'll get to that after this clip.
DM me like, you see what your boy's doing? You voted for this. I'm like, I voted for none of this. He's doing the exact opposite of everything I voted for. Yeah. I want him to stop the wars. He's funding them. I want him to shrink spending, reduce the budget. He's increasing it. It's like everything that he said he's going to do, except sending immigrants back. And now he's even flip-flopped on that, which I kind of like. But he's like, oh, well, we kind of need the people working in restaurants, and we need our farmers. It's like everything that he said that he was going to do that he campaigned
Well, he said
really
to us, which was important, and I thought it was good. He pressed him on it. Well, you got to start with the criminals in terms of deporting. I don't even know if the criminals are getting sent back.
I mean, that's the problem, right? Is there are criminals that are illegal in our country, but the administration is lazy. Rather than go through all of the violent offenders from January 6th, they just did a blanket pardon because they'd rather show quick results than accurate results. And the same thing's happening with ICE. They just want to deport anybody that they can. They don't care if you're a mom who's lived here for 30 years. It's absolutely heartless. There is a better way to do it.
I know there's a lot of people with green cards getting sent back. There's people who aren't criminals getting sent back. I don't know if you're sending back the criminals first. You're definitely not doing it first. I don't know if you're sending them back at all. So nothing has happened.
And you were more optimistic than I was because I judge him by his first four, and it was Mr. Drain the Swamp, Mr. Build the Wall, he didn't do a lot of the stuff he promised in the first four, so why would anything be different?
I already expect politicians to not do most of the shit they say. Mm-hmm. And now...
So either way, his co-host right there said it perfectly. Like, he didn't do this during the first term. Now, the problem with the first term is that COVID happened. And a lot of people believed, things would have been better. But you have to understand, there's always a delay in the economy, right? The economy has always done better under Democratic leadership. That is just how it's worked. And there's a lag, right? So Obama built up this rip-roaring economy after Bush. Really did. And then it kind of Trump had to do nothing. He literally just could skate on that. Same thing right now after Joe Biden's economy. I know there's a lot of issues with it, but the United States was one of the best countries, if not the best country, to handle inflation post-COVID. We were doing better. We were like the apple. I mean, we were it. We were the hot tamales, right? And it was almost like such unforced error is what's happening here. So Andrew Schulz offers a solution I've been talking about ad nauseum, an answer to a lot of people's problems, a solution that actually brings together the working class, a solution that I think the Democratic Party and the Republican Party fear, and that is democratic socialism.
The only party right now that to me seems America first is the Democrat Socialist Party.
Yep.
Bernie is America first. Mamdani and all his ideas that he will not be able to execute, and I frankly think many of them are not good ideas, but he is no doubt New York first.
And by the way, Mamdani wants to do the same thing that Bernie and AOC wants to do, which is tax the billionaires, tax the ultra wealthy a fair amount. And what we've realized is if you can tax the ultra wealthy, those that have siphoned up all of the resources using technology and, just the rich became richer, right? It used to be, CEOs would be worth 10 times as much as their employees. Now it's like 2,000 times. I mean, the disparity is insane. Is Jeff Bezos does he really need all of that wealth versus saying, hey, maybe after you make 900 million, you get taxed at 80% on what you make after that. I don't know, some crazy marginal tax for the ultra wealthy. That's what Bernie and AOC talk about. They say, look, you pay $14,000 a year in health insurance. We could do Medicare for all for less, and you would just get covered. Put it this way. I've been sick the last few weeks. I've had a couple different things going on with me, and my channel does well now after 20 years of not having health insurance. I really never had health insurance other than the free stuff. It didn't cover much. Now I can just go in and pay cash. I got insurance, pay $1,500 a month. It doesn't get me much, right? But I can just pay cash. I don't have to think about it. If I'm sick, I need to provide for my family, I can go do that. But if I have a serious issue, if I break my leg walking in a pothole, I could be effed big time, right? Medical debt is the number one debt that it really just makes us all sort of like slaves to the insurance companies who can then decide whether or not they want to issue us the money and the protections we pay into. So Bernie, AOC, they say, look, we're done with that. We don't need that. Let's just get rid of that middleman, this mafia middleman, and let's just provide everybody with health care, and we'll all pay a little bit more in taxes, but in the end, we'll pay less. I mean, everybody supports this. You'll have people that say, well, Obamacare didn't work. They tried to put a Band-Aid on a broken system. You need to completely take it over. So you take the universal health care we have for the elderly, and the way you implement this is like in a 4-year period, you just start opening up the free health care down, from 65-year-olds to 55 to 45 to 25, whatever. You just over a couple of years, and you try to get more doctors into the system by maybe providing them free college education. Like, these are the things that a country that is the richest country in the world can afford to do. We spend $1 trillion on our military. What the hell are we doing? So that's the answer. The answer is democratic socialism. People get afraid when they hear socialism. It's just the idea that we all pay money into a system that helps all of us. I don't want my son going to school and being provided for, but all of his friends are broke because the lower middle class has shrunk and there's no, you know what I mean? Like, what good is it if you're sitting alone at the top?
Aim to want to help people here. That's what I care about. If MAGA wants to take this America First thing back, they got to start looking out for America. And it doesn't seem like they're doing. Lying to Americans is not America First. There is one lie, which is Epstein did not have a blackmail ring on all these very influential people. And by saying that that didn't happen, you have to tell a lot of other little lies. Every one of them just pulls a little piece of thread away from the fabric.
Well, Andrew, don't be afraid to be part of the resistance. Let's skip that story. Here is Theo Vaughn. Again, also massively large podcaster talking about the inhumane ICE crackdowns getting out of hand. I mean, he is brought to tears here.
Obviously, there's a lot of deportations going on. It's sick when you see like children crying and people being taken from their parents. It's heartbreaking. Anybody thinks that that's heartbreaking. Now, there's also in the country, you have rules, you have laws, you have these are the rules.
Yeah, and of course, you need to find a way to humanely follow the rules and also, triage, go after the violent offenders, the criminals. But that's what you did. Yeah, all people do get deported for committing crimes. You know what I mean? If you're not, or if you're in the country illegally and you commit a crime and you don't have the right paperwork. So it wasn't like the system didn't have that. There was just an influx of people. And I think the Democrats need to acknowledge that they need to be better on border. But this isn't a border issue, right? This is now we're trying to remove everyone who came in the last 4 years. But rather than just remove people who came in the last 4 years, they're just trying to get everyone out. And, it's like, to what end? What's next? Mahmoud Khalil was placed in detention for 100 days. I've had a very personal, fallouts with people over him. And I've said, well, if he did anything illegal or did anything wrong, shouldn't he have been arrested? He never was. He was never arrested before he was rounded up. And he was a big advocate for peace between the Palestinians and Israel. Well, now he's seeking $20 million or a formal apology. He missed his son's birth while he was in a detention facility.
Today, we filed for $20 million in damages against the Trump administration because of the unconstitutional and unlawful arrest and all these conditions that I was put under. It's clear to me it's either the 20 million or an official apology.
And he says in that apology he wants Trump to get rid of his fascist program, which Trump's not going to do. So, again, I don't think he expects to win this, but you can't blame him for trying. I mean, Trump's suing 2020, ABC, Disney, Paramount, all of these new, the pollster, Ann Seltzer, whatever her name is, the pollster from, I don't know where she was from, Iowa. He's sue happy. So the fact that folks are suing him back, it's like, yes, welcome to America. We sue the shit out of each other. And again, it is scary to think of what's going on in these detention centers. There is no transparency. They're rounding these people up and they're just sitting there. What the hell is going on?
You are going to have a chance to go in this weekend. What are you expecting to see?
First of all, I expect to see a very sanitized facility, and we will only see what the administration want us to see. Here's the facts. We have the text messages. As a matter of fact, I just got a text message from another family member who's inside the facility. So we know that this worst of the worst rhetoric that is absolutely false. That is coming from the Trump administration.
Let me ask you, can you tell me what was in that text message? Was it more about the conditions inside?
I can read it to you. It said he's still sick. Everyone else is still sick. And supposedly they offer medicine to people, but they haven't given it to them yet. They just asked who needs it. They didn't say what they were going to give them, and they never returned. My husband did get another shower, thankfully, and they actually gave him new uniform, although it's too big for him. That's not important, but that just tells me they have too many people there. These are the facts. These are the stories that's coming from the individuals that's in there. So we know the people in the facility has complained about the lack of running water. They have complained about not receiving their medication. They have complained about worms inside their food. And so this idea that this inhumane treatment is not happening, that is coming out of the Florida Department of Emergency Management, if it's not, then prove it.
I mean, just wild stuff, folks. This is happening in our country, the United States of America. Whether there's folks that are here illegally or not, we have a duty of humanity. It really like our country is built on this fabric that we treat each other equally. And even if you're going to get deported, you don't get put into essentially a concentration camp. They're not allowed their medicine. There's flooding. There's worms in their food. What the hell are we talking about? That one guy, that Canadian, died. I mean, what the hell is going on? These are the stories we'll continue to cover. I do see a cultural shift. Now, Trump's poll numbers have never been lower. I mean, they are the lowest of any president ever. People do not approve of this. Now, you'll get people in the comments saying, no, I approve. Of course, there'll always be a base of 25% of MAGA. That'll literally be okay if Trump wants to shoot someone on the street, as he says. That'll exist. Well, what was he doing wrong? Maybe he deserved it, that type of thing. There'll be the people that just want to see Trump as Superman. Absolutely, that will exist. But for the rest of our country, giddy the fuck up and get ready to vote. Keep talking, keep spreading information, and don't let the fascists win. They want you to feel overwhelmed. They want to flood the zone. We will be here to continue to cross T's, dot I's, and talk about these issues. That is our right. All right, we'll be back this afternoon. If you want to be a part of our private Patreon community, you can donate $5 a month. Go to patreon.com/Dave Neal. You can catch our private live streams every morning at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Otherwise, we'll see you this afternoon. Have a good one, everyone. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.